So I say this all the time. They always say it's not about race. It's not about race. It's never about race. It's about behavior and calling out bad behavior. That's what they say. But it's not true because behavior patterns aren't called out. We never call out behavior. Okay, now think about this. You are Christian, right? Very God fearing, Jesus like. You follow the Bible to the T. So you say. You travel to a foreign country to show your support. And while in that country, the natives, the settlers, whatever you want to call them, they don't believe in what you believe in. You know, they don't believe in your faith. You know, they don't respect your Christianity. Okay? So they spit on you. Right? They spit on you. But to you, that is not a sign of bad behavior. Right? You don't call out that behavior. Right? They don't respect you. They don't respect your religion or your religious beliefs. Right? So they spit on you. They don't just spit at you. They spit on you. They will walk up to you and spit in your face. But that's not a sign of bad behavior. You know, it's not a behavior that needs to be called out because, you know, you're a Christian, so you're going to turn the other cheek and forgive that. Okay. That's cool. You can do that. You believe in Christ. Strong Christian. Christian morals and values. Okay. But it's not about race or nothing like that. You know, it doesn't matter that the race of that country is probably 99, 98% white. Right? You can call them whatever you want. You can call them by their religious beliefs, but at the end of the day, they're white. The most, you know, so we're not gonna, we're not gonna ruffle any feathers. So we're not gonna speak on that behavior of people spitting in your face because of your faith and your beliefs. Okay, we're not gonna talk about that. So, it's about behavior. You know, we always talk about black people because the behavior. So, people say the condition of the black community, you know, is because of fatherless, a fatherless America. So, what's the excuse for the condition of the white community? Because the fathers are there. Is it because the fathers in those homes are, molesting on their children? Is that why they're prone to violence? Is it the pedophilia? The underlying incest in those homes that have white people out here going ham? I mean, because every time you see a shooter, he's a white guy. You can call him a tranny if you want. A nationalist, outright, MAGA. You can call him a leftist. You can call him a liberal. You can call him a conservative. You can call him whatever the fuck you want to. But at the end of the day, he's white or she's white. Right? So What is going on in the white community that's that's creating all of this rage and violence, right? This political violence, right? Where you can shoot a man in the neck on TV, where you can shoot up a grocery store, where you can shoot up a nightclub, where you can open fire on a church or college campus. Right? What's going on? What is going on? Because if the father is in the home, what is he doing? That's, you know, what is his contribution? Because he's not fathering, I guess. He's not I don't know what is the term that we're looking for here. You know what I mean? Because he seems to be raising loose cannons. So I don't know. So is the white father responsible for the rage coming out of his household? I mean, because if the black father is responsible for the violence and, the dysfunction of the household that he's not in, is the white father responsible for the dysfunction of the household that he's in? Come on, man. You got to make it make sense to me. I need to know what's going on. Is there a culture of violence in the white community that nobody speaks on? I mean, because throughout history, there seems to be a culture of violence. I mean, just look at what's going on now. You have a war that's been raging on between Ukraine and Russia, right? You have a war that's going on in the Middle East, and Israel is the common denominator in each of those wars, right? And the Israelis are white, right? And they're bombing all of their Semitic neighbors. Seems to be, you know what I mean? And then they pull the United States in, and you know what I mean? So it's that, you know what I mean? It's that white culture. There's a lot of violence there, dropping bombs on people, you know, bombing places of worship, bombing schools, um, bombing families, killing babies. Um, and nobody seems to have a problem with that because, it's war. And, there's no rules in war, right? It's war. I mean, but they didn't start it, it was October 7th. But then when you think about the history of the Palestinian people in Israel and how that came about when they came in on ships, because they were exiled, kicked out of another country, right? These people welcomed them in, welcomed you in, open arms, and then you took everything from them. And they've been basically living in an open air prison ever since, apartheid or, whatever. But, it's that culture. I mean, there's a lot of sexual deviant behavior that goes on in Israel when it comes to pedophilia, and what they do with children. You know what I mean? Is that culture? Is that religious belief? I don't know. I'm not that religious like that, so I don't really know. So these are me asking real questions, right? Because when it comes to religion, right? To me, I feel it's like a cult, because the way people act when they join or when what they believe deeply, right? They look over a lot of things, right? They they seem to forgive a lot of unforgivable behavior, right? With the Catholic Church, right? They got a history and a pattern of sexual abuse, right? And people just sweep it under the rug, forgive it, take that priest or whatever, move him to another church. And then he continues his sick behavior of sexual abuse of children. And then they move him to another church or they move him somewhere. And then, all is forgiven. All right? Shh, shh, shh. Don't talk about it. Don't speak on it anymore. Right? But the children are the future. Right? Supposed to be. And if you're corrupting them young with your sexual deviancy, then you're raising a child that's going to grow into an adult, and he's going to repeat the pattern, or she's going to repeat the pattern of that deviancy, right? I mean, because if you look at a lot of these teachers, a lot of these women teachers that be sexually abusing their students, people just sweep that under the rug too. All right. Male teachers don't get that much grace. They get what they deserve, right? It's jail time. It's prison. But if that male teacher was a priest or a man of the cloth, then he would just get transferred to another school, and then he would probably repeat his pattern there. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying. But I digress. So people always say it's not about race. It's not about race. It's culture. It's culture. To me, a lot of this shit is money. A lot of people can't say no to the money. Everybody knows there's a lot of money in talking black. You shit on black people. There's a lot of fucking money in it, right? Like I always say this shit all the time. That's why a lot of these content creators, if you look at their page and who they cater to with their content, right? I mean, a lot of the black ones, now a lot of the black ones, some of the white ones too, right? They start in a space where they're, a lot of especially the black ones, right? It starts with content, black content, what you would consider black content, I guess, right? And then as their platform starts to grow, they start to cater more towards their white audience because, this is America. There's majority of the population in America is white. I think it's we're probably like 13, 14%. So, you know what I mean? So if you want to expand and make more money, you have to reach out to a broader audience, right? So most of them reach out to a broader white audience. But the white audience they want to draw in, to get that audience in, they have to shit on themselves, I'll say. Because if you shit on your community, you're basically shitting on yourself, right? I mean, you can try to separate yourself from your community all you want to, but you're a black person, bruh. Even if you're a mixed race black person, you're still a black person, bruh. Even if you're married to a white man or a woman, you're still a black person, bruh. A lot of them seem to forget that. You know what I'm saying? So when they do their racially charged stories, and they try to shit on black and try to make fun of black people, while overlooking the same exact stories that are coming out of other communities, right? But they don't address those at all because, they trying to cater more to what they feel the audience would like, right? So they end up with a racist, I would say, or prejudiced audience, right? And I guess the money is good, right? If you're willing to have no morals, no integrity, no principles, nothing that you actually stand on, right? So I guess it's cool for you to cater that way, right? there's no value. Your value is in the dollar amount, which is cool. This is America. Baptism and capitalism. You have to have money to live. So I understand. But when you get called out on your bullshit and then you act like you're oblivious to it, like you don't know what's going on, why you don't understand why people would say that about you, come on, man. Cut the bullshit. You feel me? We all know that this is a grift. We all know that this is a money play. Right? Most of this shit is a money play. You feel me? Most of it is a money play. Because there's a lot of money in shitting on black. I mean, no matter what other races or ethnicities are here, the money comes from black culture, right? So now, speaking of black culture, or what people call black culture, right? Now think about this. The movie industry, the music industry, a lot of the sitcom writers, right? They come from a particular background, right? They're a particular group of people, right? They share a common belief and faith, right? And when you look at their movies, or the music that they put out, you know what I mean, that they pay for because, it's money in it for everybody, right? For you, for selling out your community and your people, and for them for getting you to sell out your community and your people. Right? There's a lot of money in it. Okay, so who made these? So Hollywood, who made these movies? Right? The music industry, who are the distributors or the CEOs of these companies or whatever the fuck they call them? All right. Who are the label heads, the execs who go out and find the talent, right? And push this out to the people, right? Because there's a lot of female artists, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's a lot of male artists, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? And when it comes to the female artists, they're either, they're not lyrically inclined. They're just dirty bitches selling pussy. All right. And when it comes to the male rappers, right, the dudes, they're selling a culture of, I guess, violence, sex, drugs, right? They're not talking about shit, right? They're not really all that lyrical either. You know what I mean? I listen to it and I be like, what the fuck is this shit? It's a lot of artists that people think, oh man, this is this, and that. And then I listen to them, I'm like, this motherfucker ain't talking about nothing. Right? Why is it so popular? Is this shit really selling? You know what I mean? Or is this just, or it's just that pay to play? You know what I mean? Where we're gonna push a certain image and a certain stereotype on the community, right? Because children are impressionable, right? And when I think about what music used to be when I was growing up and what it is now, it's definitely not the same, right? It's not the same. And people don't infiltrate a culture. People don't co-opt shit. You know what I mean? People don't try to destroy shit for no reason, right? There's a reason behind the madness. So, what is that reason? Why do you want to destroy a whole community or a whole race of people? Why would you go out of your way to do that? Right? And then, for some reason, pretend that you understand where this race of people is coming from, right? Because I hear a lot of people, I was like, oh man, we face the same or it's the same for us. It's not, right? Because when I think about me and our community, us as a community, right? We don't make money off of the deviant or destructive behavior of other communities, right? There's not a bunch of content creators or a bunch of execs or a bunch of producers or writers, making movies about white white bullshit or Jewish bullshit or Hispanic bullshit or Asian bullshit, right? And when we do make movies of, white culture of violence, like this, we do like mob movies and shit. We make those movies where they, people are like, oh man, that's such a great movie. It's a classic, right? And it paints them in a way where even though they're murdering people, blowing people up, and dealing in whatever they're dealing in, it always makes it seem like they're doing it for a great cause. You feel me? Even when we do movies on war and shit, when we just go and bomb people for their oil. And it's not always for their oil. It's most of the, if you look at what's going on in the Middle East, it's really just because Israel wanted to expand its territory, and we make it seem like, oh, because the U.S. trying to make it seem like we actually care about the conditions of other countries and trying to bring democracy. You're not trying to bring anything. You're just doing that because whoever the prime minister of Israel at the time decides that they don't like these people. They want this land. They want these people gone. And they control our government, our Congress, our senators, our president. I mean, all three branches of our government. I mean, even our mayors now have to go to Israel for training, I guess. You feel me? Fucking crazy, but it's the world. It's what's going on, right? Because there's 50 states but one Israel. You know what I mean? So take it from that, whatever. Shit is crazy. Everything is crazy. This whole fucking country this shit is crazy. But you have to think about this, right? People can't say no to the money. Everybody's taking the fucking money. Everybody's taking the money, right? So when you see what's going on in the world, because you think about this, right? A ultra conservative white man was killed at a rally in one of the whitest states in America. And for some reason, that became a black people problem, right? People use that as an excuse to attack black, right? And the prime minister used that as a tool to promote his agenda. And people don't see anything wrong with that. People don't see anything wrong with that, right? Like, you use the man's death to promote racism. I mean, depending on how you feel about him, you know what I mean? He was borderline racist, depending on who you talk to anyway, or racist, depending on who you talk to anyway. And the prime minister used it as he was so pro-Israel that in his death, you must use in his death, you must follow in his footsteps and champion Israel's dreams and goals and help Israel get over the mountaintop or whatever the fuck. Right? Shit crazy. And nobody sees anything wrong with that. You feel me? And I just feel like every year, the people in this country get dumber and fucking dumber. I'm talking about dumb as fuck. Right? And you just look at who owns all of this shit, right? The Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the Pornhubs, the OnlyFans, right? And what they push and what they pretend to stand for, right? And then you go back further than that to book burnings and shit, and Germany, Belgium, and you go back into that, and you go back into the trans shit, and the border issues, and the gay shit, and come on, man. History tells you a lot. Even though people try to change and rewrite history, you know what I mean. But the more you know. Kind of went all over the place with this shit, but all I'm saying is that people can't say no to the money, right? So you can't believe everything you see. You can't believe everything you hear, because a lot of this shit is just paid chaos and paid commentary, paid for rhetoric, right? A lot of people just do a lot of talking because there's a lot of money behind it. They make a lot of money, and they're gonna push these talking points because these talking points pay. And it is what it is. And most of the time it's at our expense. They get paid to wipe their feet on us, right? And a lot of us, because there's a lot of black people who are ashamed of being black, who don't really truly love their blackness. So they're gonna side with a white supremacist mind state or attitude, right? They're gonna side with that, and they're gonna champion that, and they're gonna go and praise that. Because if you think about that too, Christianity and the imagery of white Jesus. So I believe the more you are into Christianity, and religion, period, depends on, because every other religion or every other group of people, in their belief, their God looks like them, right? And if you're a black person and you're a Christian, your God don't look like you. Your image, that image of Caesar Borgia, you feel me, that's been plastered everywhere into the church, into, the face of Christianity, doesn't look like you as a black person, right? And I know a lot of motherfuckers gonna get mad about it, but this is fucking facts. And I believe if you pray to an image that is unlike you, don't look like you in any way, don't favor you in any way, the same, and those same scriptures that was used to peel the skin off your back, that was used to keep you in the hot box, that was used to rape you and maim you and hang you, you know what I mean? And you hold on to that to dear life, and you was told that everything about you is wrong and evil, right? Even Mormons, your black skin is a curse from God because you sided with the devil and Lucifer, Satan, whatever the fuck, right? And you know what I mean? And they be like, why are you not religious like that? No. Does that mean I don't believe in God, a higher power, the Most High? Even in scripture, Yahweh, Yahshua, whatever, Yahshua, whatever. And then how you get Jesus from that. When if you look at the context of history, they wasn't even using J's back then or some shit. You know what I mean? But whatever, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I could I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But to me, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of black hate and a lot of this shit that people, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but I could be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.